Hello and welcome. We are learning AWS Gateway Load Balancer. Now, if you want to understand Gateway Load Balancer, the first essential requirement is to have knowledge of Ingress Routing. In the previous video, I already explained you what is Ingress Routing. Here in this video, we are going to implement Ingress Routing practically on our AWS environment. If you will learn Gateway Load Balancer directly without understanding the concept of Ingress Routing, you will never ever understand the use case of Gateway Load Balancer. And that's why we are learning this Ingress Routing. It is a part of our Gateway Load Balancer learning. In the previous video, we already discussed this theoretically, that why we are using Ingress Routing. Okay, let's say that if you have your normal environment, let's say this is my normal AWS environment in which I have web servers, I have internet gateway. User is going to send traffic to the internet gateway, and through the internet gateway my web servers is going to get traffic or a request from the user over the internet. Now here nothing is coming in between internet and your web servers. All your web servers are literally exposed on the internet, and because of this it is very insecure. Now with Ingress Routing, what we can do, we can set up firewall. Okay, we can set up third-party firewalls like a Palo Alto, Checkpoint, or any well-known firewall. So whenever user is going to send data, okay, the data will go through the internet gateway, and internet gateway will send this data to the next generation firewall, and then all your server is going to get this. Here this firewall will work as a transparent firewall. It will inspect all the traffic. It will set up the rule that it should I allow a legitimate traffic or not. Okay, but yes, the data will pass through the firewall. Now we want to simulate this environment right now. First of all, we are going with the normal operations, right? That how the communication is happening normally without Ingress Routing. And then we are going to set up this VPC Ingress Routing. Okay, so now as a first part is we have to set up 3 web servers. I'm going to set up only 2 web servers, okay, because 2 is almost the same process, 3rd is almost the same process. Okay, so I'm going to set up only 2 web servers. Now here I'm going to start from 0, so I'm going to set up a VPC design as well. Right now I'm going to set up VPC design for a Ingress Routing. Okay, when you are going to set up Ingress Routing, you have to set up firewall subnet in which you are going to place your firewall. Okay, right now we are not going to place this firewall. We are going to set up a very normal process. Okay, and we are verifying that how communication is happening. But yes, I'm creating this subnet. I'm not going to set up this firewall right now. I will set up this firewall in the next step. But yes, for VPC design, I'm going to set up the whole process. Okay, so let's go to the AWS console. Now here I am in my AWS console. First of all, I am going to the VPC. Now here I have default VPC. I want to create my own VPC, so I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to create my VPC, and we are going to follow this particular rule. Right now we are creating this firewall subnet, but we are not going to put firewall over here. We want that the communication will happen directly. Okay, so let's click on create VPC. Here I'm going to give name my VPC. Here I'm going to say 192.168.0.0/24, and let me click on create VPC. Right, so this is done. I have my VPC ready. Let me, yes, now we need to create 2 subnets. Okay, let me create the 2 subnets as well. Subnets, going to click on create subnet, selecting my VPC. Here I am going to give the subnet 1 and giving name firewall subnet. I'm creating everything into the single availability zone, okay, because we want to understand. You can set up the multiple, but we are not taking care about the redundancy right now. We want to understand the whole concept about the ingress routing. That's why I'm going to create only single subnets into the one availability zone, okay. And here it is my IP 192.168.0.0/25. We have a concept of subnetting that I'm using here, okay. Creating another subnet. If you look at this is a firewall subnet, and I'm going to create app subnet as well. So app subnet and AP South 1A, and this is IP address for the app subnet. Okay, and let me click on create subnet. So right now I have two subnet, firewall subnet and app subnet. Let me go to the, yes, this is done and this is done. Now here we need to create two different root table, okay. We are setting up the whole environment according to the requirement of ingress routing, but we are not going to perform ingress routing in the first stage, okay. But I'm setting up two different root table because we are going to use this in the next part of setting up the ingress routing, okay. Going to talk about all this into the single video, but the first part of this video is all about setting up environment without ingress routing, okay. So I'm going to create this root table. Let me go to the root table. Here I'm going to click on create root table. I'm giving name firewall subnet root table. Here I'm going to say my VPC, and I'm going to click on create root table. Here I have firewall subnet root table, and I'm going to associate firewall subnet with this root table, okay. Done and save. Going to create another root table. If you look at the picture, okay, this is another root table. We call it like app subnet root table. So going to click on this app subnet, okay, RT, and here I'm going to say my VPC. Done. So here we have app subnet root table, and here I'm going to associate app subnet, okay, app subnet, and done. So now if you look at this, we have this design completed. Firewall subnet associated with this, app subnet RT, and app subnet is already associated with this. Now we just need to add gateway, internet gateway. You can say that both subnets are public right now because we are going to add internet gateway. First of all, I have to add internet gateway, and then we are going to add these routes, okay. So let me go to the internet gateway. Create internet gateway. I'm going to say IG, and here I'm going to attach to the VPC, okay. It is my VPC attached. So this is done. Now we have to add this route into the routing table. So let me go to the root table. Here it is a firewall subnet root table. I'm going to the root, and here I am going to add this internet gateway IG. See, have to set up the same process for app subnet as well. Okay, edit root, add root 0.0 internet gateway, and save. So now this is also done. You can say that my both subnets are public, having direct inbound and outbound internet facility. Now we have to set up two servers, okay. Because I want to set up two servers with the different user data script, okay, I'm going to create two servers separately, right. So I'm going to instance, okay, and here I'm going to launch the instance as well. Now let's say that server 1, selecting Amazon Linux T2 Micro, Here I am going to select this key. I have this key already, so I am using this. This is my VPC. This is our VPC. Here I am going to select app subnet. Look at this. We are setting up these servers into the app subnet. We have separate subnets for our applications, so app subnet. Here I am going to assign public IP. Okay. Here I am going to create security group. Let's say that web server SG. And here I am going to allow all traffic. Why I am going to allow all traffic? Otherwise there will be the confusion. So that's why I am going to allow all traffic. Okay. And here I am going to copy user data script, which is going to configure this server as a web server. So I have this user data script and I am going to paste this over here. And if you look at this, this is a web server 1 in the user data script. So let me click on launch instance. Okay. Now we have to create another instance as well, because 2 instances are required to understand the whole process. Okay. So let's say launch. Web server 2. Okay. Amazon Linux, T2 micro, 2024 key. Okay, we have app server, app subnet. We're going to provide public IP. In the previous step, we have created new security group. So we are going to use this. Okay, in the advanced, I'm going to paste this, and here I'm going to say web server 2. Okay, now I'm going to click on launch, and now this is ready. Now when I'm going to start this server, it will take some time. Okay, once the server will be ready, if you are going to access these servers, okay, there is no security device coming in between this. I can access both of this web server directly. In this picture I have 3, but in the real VPC design I have just created the 2 instance. Okay, because we can test this using 2 as well. So now once the server will be ready, we are going to access these servers. Okay, so let me go to the instances. Yes, I have this server 1 and server 2. Let me rename this with the web server 1 and web server 2. Now let me access our website. It is working or not. Okay, so going to use the public IP. Okay, and here I am able to open the website. Like I have to check it out. Yeah, welcome to server 1. Going to the web server 2. Right. Now if you look at this, I am able to open both of these web servers, and the meaning is your servers are directly accessible. Okay. Now we don't want to do this. We want that firewall. Okay. Now this firewall will be in between our web server, and it is working with the transparent way. Transparent means it is not going to visible over there. We will access our server normally, but the data will pass through this next generation firewall or a firewall device. Now in AWS you can set up Palo Alto firewall, Checkpoint, Cisco, Fortinet firewall, everything. But if you are going to set up this, okay, it will be expensive. Expensive. The second thing is there is a knowledge required. Let's say that if you want to set up a Palo Alto, you must have knowledge about the Palo Alto or Checkpoint. Okay, so we are going to set up one EC2 instance, and we are going to set up this as a normal security device. We just want to verify that yes, every traffic is going through this particular firewall device. So right now we are not going to set up Palo Alto or Checkpoint. We are just going to set up one EC2 instance which will act like a security device for us. Okay, so this is our current design, and now we are going to set up a security device first. Okay, so here I have another picture. Let's see this picture. It is done right now. If you look at this, okay, everything is done. Okay, and right now I am accessing this server directly, so we have no security. Now let's talk about this particular design. Okay, here we are going to set up server appliances. Okay, and this is a ENI. ENI means Elastic Network Interface of this particular appliance. Okay, so we are going to set up one security appliance. Here we have EC2 instance, which will act as a security device. We are not going to set up Palo Alto or anything, because I don't want that when you are going to set up your own lab, you have to subscribe to the Palo Alto, and if you forget, then you have to pay the bills. No, we are going to use T2 Micro, and I have one user data script that we will use to set up this device as a security appliances. Okay, so let's set up security appliance first, then we will talk about all the routing table entry and everything. Okay, so first security appliance. Now here I am going to launch another EC2 instance. Okay, you can give name like a security appliance, or you can say that firewall. Okay, whatever the name that you want to provide. Okay, we are going to create Amazon Linux, T2 Micro. I have this key pair. Okay, here I have a specific subnet. It is required that you must have specific subnet for firewall. So I am going to select this. I am going to select public IP. Okay, here I am going to create new security group, firewall SG, and going to allow all traffic. Okay, going to allow all traffic. Okay, it is in a firewall subnet, public IP we have. Okay, here I am going to provide one user data script. Yes. Now this user data script will configure my server as a router. Okay, it is a layer 3 firewall kind of process. Okay, and all the data will pass through this particular process, and we can identify this as well. Okay, so let me click on launch instance. So here we have this security appliance. It will take some time to make it ready. Once it will be ready, I will come back. Okay, so now my server is ready. Okay, my security appliance is ready. Now I have security appliance, but according to our design, okay, we have this particular scenario. So security device is not going to help me right now. Okay, and if I'm going to open the website, there is no effect. I can able to open the website right now. Now we want that security device will be in between this. Okay, and that's why we have to set up all this functionality right now. First of all, we need to set up this particular table or a root table. We call it gateway root table. Now this table is actually the main components over here. Okay, because whenever the data is coming to the internet gateway, okay, this table is actually setting up the root that whenever data you got any data, okay, for 192.168.0.128 in which we have this app servers, okay, send it. Do not send directly to that particular app servers. Do not send them directly. Okay, but send them to ENI0, means send this data to the security appliance. Means when you will set up this, okay, whenever the internet gateway will send this data, instead of sending them directly, it is going to send this here to this particular security subnet, because we have created this table. Okay, and we have specified that when you are going to send you data to 192.168.0.128, send it to the ENI0 of your security appliance. Okay, and this is called Ingress Routing. We have to set up this internet gateway root table. Okay, now let me set up this first. So in order to set up this, first of all, I have to go to the root table. Okay, I am going to the root table. Here I am going to click on create root table, new root table. Okay, I am going to say internet gateway root table for Ingress Routing. Okay, I'm giving this kind of name. Why? Because I want you to to understand this terminology, even when you are going to read some documentation from AWS, they will only specify that create internet gateway route table. Now you don't know that what is this internet gateway route table, right? So we are creating this internet gateway route table for ingress routing. So that's why I just provided this name. Here I am going to say my VPC, okay, and let me click on create subnet. Done. Now going to the route table. See, this is the internet gateway route table for ingress routing. Now the most important part we have over here is, do we need to associate any subnet? Big no. We do not need to associate any subnet. But as we are creating this route table for internet gateway, we have to specify our internet gateway. Now how I can specify? You can go to the edge association. This is the internet gateway route table. I am going to the edge association. Here I am going to click on edit edge association and I am going to select this internet gateway and let me click on save changes. Okay. So this is how this picture is justifying the things that it is connected with the internet. Now for this subnet, means if you want to send the data to this particular subnet 192.168.0.128, give it to the ENI0 of the security appliance. Means interface of the security and appliance. Means network adapter of the security appliance. Now how I can verify this? See, I am going to the EC2 instance. This is my security appliance. Okay. Now going to the networking, and if you go scroll down, see this is 55E. 550E is actually ENI of my security appliance. It is 550E. Okay. So going to the route table, going to the internet gateway route table for ingress routing, going to the routes. Here I am going to say that if you are going to get data for application subnet, which is having 192.168.0.128/25, okay, give it to the network interface, and it is 550E, which is our security appliance. Okay, it is 550E, and let me click on save changes. Now it is done. Now the next part is, here you know what happened whenever the data is coming. Okay, it is going to the ENI, and ENI and the security appliance, and security appliance will send this data to any one of them. Security appliance will work as a transparent way. It is not going to change any public IP or anything. Okay, you will access your EC2 instance using public IP only, but data will pass through this. Now what about outbound, right? Data is incoming and now we have to send this as outbound as well. Now if you look at this, the current is, if you look at this picture, okay, currently we are sending the data directly to the internet gateway, right? This is the picture we have. We are sending this data directly through the internet gateway. Now we don't want this, okay? So we want to send the data using the security appliance. So inbound and now outbound. So we have to change this as well in the route table. This route table we already created app subnet, okay? So let me change this from internet gateway to security appliance. So going to the route table, okay, this is application subnet route table, and currently we have internet gateway associated as we have done in a part 1. And if you look at this, here we have to say that security appliance, pass traffic through the security appliance. Okay, so let me go to the routes. Okay, I have this route, going to edit this route. Here instead of internet gateway, I am going to say send the data to the network interface, and the network interface of my security device. Okay, this is 550E, and yes, now everything is passing through the internet security appliance. Okay, let's go to this picture and look at this. Okay, now one setup that we have to it is a final setup that we have to enable, otherwise the data will not pass through. Okay, and this setup is, hi, I am Bhavesh Atara from CloudFolks HUB. To watch full video, please visit our website learn.bhaveshatara.live or CloudFolks HUB Android and iOS app. We are going to upload full video daily on our portal. You can visit our portal and you can enroll to our 100 days challenge course. Right now, for first 1000 students, for India, it is just 499 rupees fees, and for abroad, you just need to pay only 7 USD. We are going to upload daily full videos over there, and this challenge will be continued for 240 days. Thank you very much. See you inside the app. Goodbye.